Hello, class. Today is May 12th, Tuesday, and we're coming at you with the lesson of the day. Me and Dragos here as my assistant. So, first of all, thank you for everyone who participated in the Google Classroom, or Google Meetup, I should say. That was a good talk we had, and it's just sort of getting used to the Google Meetup format. So we'll be doing those once a week. The next one will be on Monday at 1 o'clock. If you've got a test or something coming up, if a bunch of math teachers are doing things, we will reschedule, right? But let me know, right? Because I don't know what the math teachers are doing here. Anyway, we're moving on with our reflection assignment this week, right? And two reflections are coming, right? One will be Tuesday, which is today, and one will be on Thursday. And as I explained, they will both be collected Friday through Google Classroom. They both are to be written in the same way as the mask reflection was, right? So you guys know how to write those now, and they will be handed in together, all right? So, Dragos, you have two reflections due on Friday, all right? Yes, thank you. We will definitely hand them in on time. All right? And if you need more time, you just let me know. Okay? All right. So, our topic for today is going to be getting away from coronavirus onto some of the other issues that are happening around Canada, right, as we continue with our reflection assignments. And the one I wanted to do today is actually related to something that recently happened, a great tragedy, related to guns, right? So, as most of you might know, although I will leave a link in the classroom to just a basic information about this issue, Nova Scotia last month had a mass shooting where 22 people were killed by a man who was well prepared to do this, apparently, and who went around a neighborhood for some hours, even shooting everyone he could. He had all sorts of equipment, including a fake police car, which was rather unusual. But this shooter, he murdered 22 people, random people, just another spree shooter. And the guy had 4 guns, apparently. One of them, investigators have found, was bought in Canada, and 3 others were apparently gotten from the United States. And this is a guy who, by the way, had previously been arrested in Canada for assault, and who no one really has figured out what his motivation was. I've seen speculation that it was related to girlfriend or money or something, right, with this guy's situation. But regardless, the guy was a murderer and he killed 22 innocent people for apparently no reason. And right now in Canada, there's been a response, right, to this shooting, right, where we as a country are sort of trying to decide what to do. So, the response has come at the highest level, and I've got a special guest here right now, Mr. Justin Trudeau, who's going to tell us what Canada is doing after this terrible shooting.
Last week, 22 Canadians were killed in the deadliest rampage in our country's history. They were nurses and teachers, correctional officers and RCMP officers. They were someone's child, someone's best friend, someone's partner. Their families deserve more than thoughts and prayers. Canadians deserve more than thoughts and prayers. Today, we are closing the market for military-grade assault weapons in Canada. We are banning 1,500 models and variants of these firearms by way of regulations. These weapons were designed for one purpose and one purpose only: to kill the largest number of people in the shortest amount of time. There is no use and no place for such weapons in Canada. So, effective immediately, it is no longer permitted to buy, sell, transport, import, or use military-grade assault weapons in this country. To protect law-abiding gun owners from criminal liability until they can take steps to comply with this new law, there will be a 2-year amnesty period, and we will legislate fair compensation.
Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. So, just to summarize that, what the Prime Minister has decided to do is essentially ban assault rifles here in Canada. These are the large guns that are typically used by the military. He's got 15,000 types of assault rifles that he's going to ban, and they will now be illegal to possess in Canada, right? So you can no longer sell them, buy them, first of all, and if someone has a gun like that already, right? So if someone owns a gun like that, the federal government is going to buy it back, right? And the idea here is to reduce the number of guns in our society and prevent things like what happened in Nova Scotia from happening, right? So that is the idea here, right? Is to help reduce the number of guns in our society by essentially banning these assault rifles. Now, that's what Justin Trudeau wants to do, but he has met with some pushback, most notably in Ontario from our own Premier, Mr. Doug Ford. And I have a special guest right now. Mr. Ford, please explain your position.
Premier, I'd like to ask your reaction to yesterday's announcement by Prime Minister Trudeau and several cabinet ministers regarding firearms. Alberta Premier Jason Kenney has said that what they've done is singled out law-abiding Canadians who purchased their property legally, have owned these items safely for years, and have committed no crimes. He went on to say that money would be far better used to pursue the smugglers and drug gangs that plague our society. Yep. Given that the feds are talking about $600 million, and that's the opening bid, to buy back these guns, to enforce all of this, what could you do with Ontario's portion of that $600 million to actually deal with the crime guns that are plaguing our society?
Well, good question, Brian. First of all, I want the people of Ontario to know that our government will not tolerate, I'll tell you, they will not tolerate any gun crime of any kind, not now, not ever. And out of all people, myself, I know our Solicitor General behind me, we have zero tolerance for violent criminals. And I've made it my mission as Premier to target the thugs and the lowlifes that are out there terrorizing innocent people. Over the past 2 years, we've invested heavily. We've worked hand in hand with our law enforcement, which we support, and we absolutely love our law enforcement, to tackle guns and gangs at its core. That's the problem. And as law enforcement experts have highlighted time and time again, the only way to truly tackle gun violence is to crack down on the illegal guns being smuggled in daily at our borders. Put money at our borders. Our great, people that serve the border security, Canadian border security, they're incredible. Give them the money, and greatly increase the legal ramifications for these convicted gun crimes. I've said this over and over again that, these people, they get charged, and what's frustrating to police officers, they're back on the streets in a few days. Or if they get sentenced with a gun crime for a year or two. The problem is not the legal gun owners. We need to target the smugglers, and we need to throw the book at these gangsters out there terrorizing our streets. And the federal government has set aside hundreds of millions of dollars to buy back illegally purchased guns from legal licensed gun owners, responsible legal licensed gun owners. And I can't help but think that money could be put in a much better use, hunting down the violent criminals and stopping illegal guns at our borders. And I'm here and ready to work with our federal government and partner up with them and to work with them to stop the guns coming in from across the border. And number one priority is, let's really strengthen the bail conditions. Let's strengthen the sentences rather than give them these nasty criminals, these gangbangers, a slap on the wrist and they laugh at our police. Let's start giving them some tough sentences. Throw the key away with these people if they get caught with guns. Don't give them a slap on the wrist and then try to point the finger at legal, law-abiding gun owners and spending hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars of hard-earned taxpayers' money for what? You think the gun violence is gonna go down in Toronto? Well, I don't believe it's going to go down in Toronto based on taking guns off legal gun owners. What I do believe will drop the crime and start throwing these guys in jails, protecting our communities, protecting our families and our kids from these gangbangers. That's what's going to stop it.
Thank you, Mr. Ford, for your words. So, to summarize what he just said, he thinks you shouldn't ban assault rifles. You just need to stop the smuggling of guns from America. So he essentially thinks Canadians should be able to own those big assault rifles with a license, of course, not just, by walking into a store. And he thinks that smugglers from the U.S. and gang members with guns, illegal guns, as in not licensed, should be imprisoned, right? And he thinks essentially Justin Trudeau is wasting money by attempting to do that, right? So our Prime Minister wants those assault rifles banned, while our Premier here thinks that they should be legalized, or they should remain legal, and Canadians should be able to own those, but you got to stop the illegal ones from the United States. So, our reflection question should not be that surprising. Should Canada ban ownership of assault rifles, or should these guns remain legal? Right? That's your reflection question for today. And, we've got two clearly articulated positions here from our federal government and our provincial government, right? You should know that this is a Justin Trudeau decision, right? It's a federal decision because it involves the criminal code, right, which is a federal issue. So Doug Ford will not be able to stop Justin Trudeau from doing it. So those rifles are going to be banned. But nevertheless, this is a debate in our society. So I want to know what you guys think. Write a reflection that looks into this question, right, and sort of addresses, all right, should people be able to own assault rifles here in this country, or should they be banned, right? So essentially I'm asking, do you agree with the Justin Trudeau side of things, or are you more on the side of our Premier, Doug Ford? Once again, I'll mention, it doesn't matter what you say, right? As in, you can agree with one side or agree with the other. I'm not grading that, right? Because what I'm interested in, of course, is in your grammar, in your spelling, in your punctuation, all of that kind of stuff, right? That's what I'm interested in, as well as the argument and the way that you present your position, right? Is it logical? Does it have evidence? All of that kind of stuff. So, that is what we are looking at for today's reflection, and I hope it is pretty straightforward, right? Remember, I'm going to give one today and one on Thursday, and I will then collect both of them on Friday, right? That is the plan for now. So, if you have any questions, as always, ask them below in the comments section or send me an email, and I will look forward to hearing what you guys have to say. So take care, everyone, and I'll see you next time.